Welcome back. Last week, we learned about creating opportunities when your child does not initiate on his own or when you need to get his or her attention. We hope that you follow your practice plan and were able to practice any of these strategies discussed last week for creating opportunities, any of the skill set, and anything that you were able to practice during the coaching session, you kept practicing at home. The strategies that you've learned so far, which are focus on your child, adjust your communication, and create opportunities, help your child engage and initiate. So far, you have been responding immediately and expanding on these initiations without really requiring your child to use new or more complex skills. For many children with social communication challenges, these strategies are not enough to learn new skills. So that's when we introduce the skills and teach new skills. This week, we're going to start learning about how to use prompts to teach new skills. For this week, we'll just focus on using prompts for imitation and for expanding play. So now you're going to begin your interaction the same way you have already learned, by using focus on your child and adjust your communication, and then moving to create opportunities if your child doesn't initiate independently or if you need to get his or her attention. Now, rather than responding to any action your child does, you're going to use a prompt that is a cue to help him use a specific new skill and wait to respond until your child does it or use the skill. When your child uses the specific skill, you're going to provide a reward. When you begin to prompt a new skill and wait before giving the reward, it is normal for your child to get frustrated because you've changed the rules on him. So if this happens, don't worry. Most children become less frustrated as soon as they understand that that they need to use a specific skill and that they will be rewarded for it. The more consistent you are in following through with these techniques, the faster the frustration will decrease. Let's briefly discuss the set of techniques you will use to teach your child new skills, and they are prompts and rewards. A prompt is a cue that helps your child respond with a new skill. Prompting helps your child know how to respond and prevents a child from getting frustrated. A reward is a positive consequence you're going to give your child after he succeeds at using the new skill. It can be anything your child likes, including getting your attention with a social reinforcement like praise or a hug, or doing a fun activity or playing with a favorite toy. Rewards increase the chances that your child will use the new skill again. It's going to increase that positive behavior. You're going to use prompts and rewards to help your child learn new skills that he or she does not yet use independently. Prompts and rewards are very helpful when your child's learning a new skill. Once your child becomes more successful at using that new skill, you're going to gradually fade out the extra support or the prompts you provide so that your child is able to use the new skill without your help or independently. Let's talk a little bit about some ways to make your prompts the most effective. First, it's important to think about when to prompt. The best time to prompt your child to use a new skill is when he is highly motivated by the activity and obviously in a good mood. If your child loses interest in the activity or is unhappy, tired, or sick, he may become frustrated or leave the activity if the prompt gets too hard. If your child isn't motivated, then try offering different activities and going back to focus on your child. You need to think about what skills to prompt. Your child is most likely to be successful if you prompt a skill that is only slightly more complex than his or her current skills. Your child will also be more likely to respond if you prompt a skill that's related to what your child's already doing. So prompt your child to use a slightly more complex skill related to the material or the toy or the activity he's engaged with. For example, if your child's playing with blocks, prompt your child to say the word block or prompt him to stack the blocks before you provide another one. The language and play skills you have been modeling are great skills to promote to prompt your child to use now. It's also important that your child understands exactly what you want him or her to do so that he doesn't get frustrated. So make sure to be clear when you're giving a prompt. Pause, gain your child's attention, and use simple language. Only use one prompt at a time. Avoid using several prompts together that are going to require different responses, such as, do you want this block? Or what should I do? Or tell me I want block. Then just as in create opportunities, you're going to wait after a prompt to give your child enough time to respond. We usually tell parents to count in their heads until 5 slowly before giving another prompt. Sometimes children need even longer time to respond. Prompts range in the amount of support they give, so from the most to the least helpful. The idea is to help your child become independent, we want to start with the least supportive prompt necessary for your child to respond correctly. If he's not successful with this prompt, then you give him more support. We do this through what we call the 3-prompt rule. You're going to try and make sure that your child's successful by the 3rd prompt by giving more support if he needs it. So to help your child learn to point, for example, like the slide says, so you're trying to teach your child to point to requests. So you start with the least supportive prompt. For example, you're going to show your child the bubbles and ask your child, what do you want? If your child doesn't respond, then you're going to use a more supportive prompt, like, for example, model pointing to the bubbles. If your child is still not getting the prompt, give more support so that your child can be successful. For example, help your child point to the bubbles. The prompts you use will depend on your child's skills, motivation, and in the mood. If you're prompting an easy skill and if your child is highly motivated and not too frustrated, you can start with less supportive prompt. And you may be able to prompt more than 3 times to get your child to respond successfully. However, if you're working on a harder skill, or if your child is not very motivated or is highly frustrated, you may need to make sure that your child is successful with fewer prompts. As your child learns, you're going to give less and less help until he or she uses the skill independently. After your child's able to respond successfully at one level of prompt, start using a less supportive or least supportive prompt. In a little while, we're going to discuss different levels of communication prompt that you can use to help your child use more complex communication skills. You want to use, you want your child to learn that using a new skill is going to result in what he or she wants. So your child will be more likely to use it again. If you prompt your child to use a specific new skill, make sure your child has tried to use it, either alone or with your help, before you reward him or her. It is okay to reward good trying, even if it is not exactly the response you were expecting. For example, if your child reaches for the bubble and you prompt your child to say the word bubble, you can blow the bubbles when he or she makes a good attempt or an approximation, like we say, such as saying "bah" or pointing clearly. Give your child the reward immediately after he uses a new skill to help your child make that connection between the new behavior and the reward, and continue to expand on your child's response. You're going to push him a little bit more every time. At the beginning, reward your child each time he uses the skill. Don't ask your child to respond more than once before giving the reward. For example, don't prompt your child to say the word cracker and then prompt him or her to tell you, I want 2 crackers, before you provide the cracker. This can frustrate your child, who may learn from this that his or her communication is not effective. So instead, you want to break up the reward into smaller portions and reward your child for each use of the new skill. So give your child a small piece of a cracker each time he uses a new skill to ask for it. A reward is natural when it is related to your child's behavior, action, or also their communication. So natural rewards increase the chances that your child will use appropriate behavior during everyday activities. So you're going to reward your child with something that is related to what he or she is doing or saying. By focusing on your child, you can get a good idea of a natural reward to use. A reward will increase whatever behavior it directly follows. So only reward the behaviors that you want to see more of. You have to be careful not to reward any incidental problem behavior that occurs while you're teaching a new skill. And we're going to help you during the coaching sessions. If you by any chance reward a challenging behavior, you're teaching your child that he's going to learn to keep using them to get what he or she wants. So an example of this could happen is that you don't give a child the toy that he's yelling about because you're reinforcing the yelling as opposed to asking another way. Children use imitation to learn new skills, such as how to play with a new toy, perform a new task, use new words, and communicate their interest in others. Children with social communication challenges often have difficulty learning new skills by watching others and imitating their behavior. So you're going to use prompts and rewards to teach your child to imitate your actions and gestures during play. This strategy can improve your child's imitation skills. It can also help your child connect with you and learn new ways to play and gesture through imitation. Teaching imitation during play is most helpful when you have 2 of the same or similar toys, so that you and your child can imitate each other at the same time. Some toys work better than others for teaching object imitation and gesture imitation. It is also much easier to model actions for your child to imitate when you use toys that can be used in a number of different and creative ways. Now let's discuss some aspects of prompt for imitation. So you can teach your child to imitate play actions and gestures by engaging your child in a back and forth social game where you and your child take turns imitating each other during play. You're going to start with imitate your child. When it's your turn, you're going to use playful obstruction or balance turn to help your child pay attention to you. Then you're going to model the action related to the play for your child to imitate, along with simple language that describes what you're doing. This is going to help your child pay attention to your model. For example, if your child has been pushing a car when it is your turn, you model putting a man in the car and say, man in. As soon as your child imitates you, you're going to give a reward of like a praise and let your child play the way he or she likes, even if you had to use a physical prompt. It is more important for your child to match your actions in general than to perform a specific action exactly. So be sure to reward any attempt or an approximation of an imitation, even if it is not perfect. Remember to model an action for your child to imitate only about 1/3 of the time to make sure your child doesn't get discouraged. The rest of the time, continue to imitate your child's play. At this point, don't worry about teaching specific play skills. Instead, Model fun actions your child is likely to want to imitate. If your child has a lot of difficulty imitating, start by modeling familiar actions, even if they are unusual. If your child only plays with cars by spinning their wheels or lining them up, model spinning the wheels when your child's lining up the cars, for example. You can also model gestures that are related to your child's play. For example, if your child's pushing the car, pantomime driving the car and say vroom. You're going to use two different types of prompts to help your child imitate. Since you're trying to encourage your child to match your behavior, you're going to repeat the model as a prompt rather than use a verbal instruction. Once you model the new action, you're going to wait for your child and give a child a chance to imitate the action independently. If he doesn't imitate after about 5 seconds, add more support by modeling the same action with the same simple language again. You can do this twice. Wait after each model to see if he imitates you. Keep the verbal model the same each time the action is modeled. If he doesn't imitate your action after the second model prompt, then you physically guide your child to imitate the action. Let's see an example of what using prompts for imitation to teach a new play action with an object. In this slide, Jordan is playing with a slinky by shaking it up and down. Mom focuses on her child and adjusts her communication by sitting face to face and imitating his play with another slinky. After a few minutes, Jordan's mom creates the opportunity by blocking his play with a slinky. When she's Jordan's attention, she says, "Ball in," and models dropping a ball down the slinky. She waits for Jordan to respond by imitating her with his slinky, but he doesn't, so she models the action and says, "Ball in," again, and she waits. When he doesn't respond, she models the action one more time, and then she uses physical guidance to prompt him to imitate. After he does, she rewards him by saying, "Great job, ball in," and imitates his play some more. This slide shows how Jordan's mom teaches him to imitate a gesture during play. So it starts the same way, it continues, and she says "ball in," and she models her gestures, which is like pointing into the slinky, then drops the ball in. When Jordan doesn't respond after 2 more models, she uses physical guidance to prompt him to point to the slinky. So she is prompting only one skill at a time by focusing on having Jordan imitate her gesture and not the play action. Once he imitates the gesture, she says, "Great job, ball in," and imitates his play some more. Let's watch a video of a mom using specific prompts, like we discussed. She uses prompts to help her son imitate, and watch as she waits and rewards the child.
1, 2, 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smush! One more. 1, 2, 3. Smush! Yay!
I might try
Smush!
giving him one.
You do. Can you do a 1, 2, 3 smush? 1, 2, 3 smush! Nathan try. 1, 2, 3 smush! Good smush! Yay!
So mom helps her son imitate the action with an object, but she first models putting the cookie cutter in the sand and uses simple descriptive language to describe the action. 1, 2, 3, smush. He doesn't respond, so she models the play action again, and then when he doesn't respond, she uses physical guidance to help him imitate her action. And then she rewards him with praise and lets him play with the sand the way he wants.
1, 2, 3.
Now, let's discuss how you could use prompts for expanding play. Take a moment to think about how your child usually plays with favorite toys. What new play skills can you prompt your child to use with these toys? Make sure to attend to your child's current play level to see where he's at. Remember, you can focus on increasing the variety of your child's play at his or her current play level, or you can add one level of complexity. Write down these ideas to remind yourself at home. After you think of a number of different play actions, think about what 3 prompts you can use to help your child use a new play skill. The slide gives you a few examples. So, children with social communication challenges often have difficulty coming up with their ideas on how to expand play. And may play with toys in unusual or repetitive ways. Play skills are very important for language and social development. So play is an excellent place to work on problem solving and imagination. The better your child's play skills are, the easier it will be for him to play with other children. So you can expand your child's play skills by using verbal prompts that will help your child come up with new play ideas and follow your directions. So this strategy can increase the variety of play actions your child does with favorite toys. It also help your child play with new toys and play in more complex ways. If your child has more advanced play skills, you can teach him to cooperate, to be more cooperative during play with others. Since these prompts are usually verbal, they are usually more successful for children with better play and language skills. So if your child has difficulty responding to verbal instructions, continue to use prompts for imitation to help your child expand his play skills. Now let's discuss how to use prompts for expanding play. To expand your child's play skill, begin using focus on your child and adjust your communication to join your child in play. Then you're going to create opportunities and use those techniques to gain your child's attention. Then you're going to prompt your child to use a new or slightly more complex play skill with his toy. After your child uses the new play skill, you are going to reward or provide a praise and let your child play the way he or she wants. Remember to prompt a new play skill only about 1/3 of the time. You want to make sure your child stays in the lead. The rest of the time, you continue to respond to your child's spontaneous play. You can increase both the variety and the complexity of your child's play skills. So to do this, you're going to prompt your child to do different play actions with a favorite toy at the same developmental level. For example, if your child likes to line up blocks, prompt other actions with the blocks at the same play level, such as, maybe stacking the blocks or putting the blocks in different containers. You can also introduce new objects into the play with your child's favorite activities. For example, if your child does not play with toys, but enjoys food or gross motor activities, teach your child to play with the toys by including them in a preferred activity. For instance, you can place a favorite snack in a busy box for your child to get out, or have a doll take turns with your child on the swing or the trampoline. You can also teach your child to play in a more complex way by prompting skills that are slightly more complex than his current skills. For example, if your child usually plays with toys by touching, banging, or dropping them, teach him to play by putting favorite toys in and out of containers. If your child is able to use a number of related play actions, you can increase the complexity of the play by prompting your child to tell a story through linking several actions together. For example, if your child likes to feed a baby doll, you prompt the child to give the baby a bottle and then burp the baby and then put the baby to bed. Now let's talk about the types of prompts you can use as prompts for expanding play. These prompts are listed on the slide from least to most supportive. A leading comment is the best supportive prompt. Is the best least supportive prompt. This type of prompt is appropriate for children who have good receptive language and some pretend play, but have difficulty playing more creatively or linking actions together. Once your child's engaged in play, make a clear comment that cues your child what to do next. Pairing it with a gesture can help your child respond. For example, if your child's holding an Elmo doll, say, Elmo looks tired, and hold up a blanket to encourage your child to put Elmo to bed. If your child has difficulty responding to a leading comment, then you can use a slightly more supportive prompt by asking your child a question to cue him or her to do something new with a toy. For example, what should Elmo do now? Or where should the train go next? Your child can respond by doing the play action or by telling you. If your child has difficulty responding to an open-ended question, you can give your child a choice between two new play actions. For example, say, should Elmo eat or should Elmo go to sleep? And this gives your child ideas of other ways to play with Elmo, but it allows him to choose the play sequence or the type of play that will be added. You can teach your child to play more creatively by using a verbal instruction to tell your child to do something else with the toy. For example, if your child's pushing a train, you can offer your child a toy tiger and say, give the tiger a ride. Be sure to follow your child's lead and give directions that center around the activity of his choice. This prompt is helpful for children who may have difficulty responding to the less supportive prompt. If your child doesn't respond to the verbal prompts, you can use the prompts you have just learned for teaching imitation. Model a play action for your child to imitate, or use a physical guidance, which is the most supportive to help your child imitate your play action. And then you can follow it with a verbal instruction. Let's see how it would look like by looking at this slide. So you have Tina and you have Mom, and Mom is teaching her how to pretend play with a doll. So Tina's mom focuses on her child by sitting face to face while Tina's playing with a doll, and she uses simple language to comment on Tina's play. Her mom creates an opportunity by taking a turn with the doll. When she has Tina's attention, her mom uses a leading comment to prompt Tina to feed the doll. Like she says, baby's hungry, and shows her a block. When Tina doesn't respond, her mom uses the more supportive prompt by repeating the comment and asking a question. Baby is hungry, what should we do? When Tina doesn't respond, her mom adds more support by giving the verbal instruction. Give the baby some food. Then Tina responds by using the block to feed the baby. Her mom rewards her by praising her and letting her play with the doll the way she wants. Let's watch a video clip of a mom using expanding play, prompts to expand play to help her son use a more complex skill with a train.
Drive train on the grass. I'm gonna drive my train into the water and then splash. Drive, splash, splash. Yeah, Jackson, you drive your train into the water and splash. 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 Yeah. Good splash. Turn it around. Drive trains.
So she does a good job at modeling a different way of using the train. She makes the train splash in the water, and she models the action, and he doesn't respond. So after the second model, she gives a verbal direction. She says, Jackson, you drive the train into the water and splash. She also uses a gesture with a verbal direction to help him respond. And then he responds. And she rewards this by letting him play with how, she praises him, and then she allows him to continue playing the way he like wants to.
Drive train on the grass. I'm gonna drive my train into the water.
So here's another, I wasn't sure if this was the same clip. Here's the same mom modeling another action for her son to imitate. She actually helps him expand the number of play actions. She joins his play at the train table, gets face to face, and when she has his attention, she brings a new object into the play. Let's watch.
Oh no! There's a big ball! It's going to crash into the trees! Look out, Jackson! Here it comes! It's gonna crash! Oh no!
Did you go?
Yeah! Oh, you fixed it! Oh.
Go there.
Yeah?
Quack.
Crashed into Mom's
A
train.
big ball go.
The big ball crashed into the train.
So he seemed to like that, and he, after he watches Mom, he responds by imitating the action and uses the word crash. And then I think he even says a big ball or go or something like that. So his mom, the mom repeats the communication in a meaningful way. Now, let's talk a little bit about how you can use prompts to expand play. Take a moment to think about how your child usually plays with favorite toys, and what new play skills can you prompt your child to use with these toys? Make sure you attend to your child's current level, play level. Remember, you can focus on increasing the variety of your child's play at his current level, or you can add one level of complexity. Write your ideas and try and implement them in your practice at home. So after you think of numbers of different play actions, then think about what 3 prompts you can use to help your child use a new skill. So as usual, I want you to practice the skills daily. Make notes on your practice plan, and we can discuss how it went in the coaching session. Again, you're going to use you're going to pick one of the goals or several goals that you're going to use for each one of the skills. So what are you using for focus on and adjust? What are you using for create opportunities? And what kind of prompt you're going to be using for the specific play activity? Or how are you going to have your child imitate you? Until then, see you next time.